Joining us now is newspaper columnist and radio talk show host Herman Cain, a former Godfather Pizza CEO. Mr. Cain has formed a presidential exploratory committee for a potential candidacy for the Republican presidential nomination in 2012. He has won 5 straw polls in recent weeks and just ranked number 4 on Gallup's positive intensity tracking poll. Welcome back to Newsmax TV, Mr. Cain.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, update us, if you will, on exactly where you stand right now on a possible run in 2012. Do you plan to run?
In January, we officially announced the Presidential Exploratory Committee,
Right.
and that's when you put your toe in the water. Well, the water is now up to my neck, if you know what I mean. And so what we're doing is we're working toward making a definitive statement, go or no go, within the next couple of months. So it'll be sooner rather than later, but within the next couple of months, we'll make a decision. But I can't become a declared candidate too soon, because as soon as I become a declared candidate, I become a member of the unemployed. And I don't want to raise the unemployment rate.
What is your take on how President Obama is handling the nation right now and leading the nation?
I think that his leadership weaknesses are becoming more and more apparent to more and more people. It started with not having an effective policy to truly stimulate the economy. Most of the Americans that I have talked to over the past couple of months, they felt that all of that spending was not going to stimulate the economy. It did not. Most Americans are still saying, okay, what are you going to do to stimulate the economy? There was no direct stimulus, which is why the unemployment rate has remained high, which is why this economy is still growing at an anemic rate. So from a leadership standpoint, his leadership weaknesses are showing relative to domestic policy because he didn't surround himself with the right people. Secondly, in the handling of the situation in the Middle East, we are spending more money than all of the other countries combined in this skirmish or whatever he wants to call it. But yet he is trying to take sort of a backseat role rather than a leadership role. And I think the American people believe that if we're going to be putting significant dollars and putting our men and women in harm's way, we want the President of the United States to lead. So I think that his leadership weaknesses are showing.
Let's talk about Libya real quickly. President Obama is leading us into a third war here in Libya without getting the consent of Congress. Do you support what he did? And if not, why?
He has not answered these 3 questions. So I can't say whether I support or not support. The 3 questions that I had hoped that he would have answered. Number 1, what's the mission? It's not real clear. That's what the American people want to know. Number 2, are we going to have to commit men and women in uniform directly in what's going on in Libya? The American people want to know that. He doesn't have to give the details of where he's going to put one battalion or another battalion. No, they want to know if they understand the mission, if our men and women in uniform are going to be put at risk. The American people want to know that. And number 3, they want to know, do you have a plan for exit or victory? And how do you define that? That's what's not clear. What's ironic, Kathleen, is that he criticized President Bush for not answering those same 3 questions relative to Iraq. And now he has not answered those same 3 questions relative to Libya.
Is it an impeachable offense in your view that he did not go to Congress first?
I think it is. I also think that it's an impeachable offense to order your Justice Department not to enforce a law here in the United States, the Defense of Marriage Act, to basically instruct or give the direction as president to not enforce the Defense of Marriage Act is a breach of oath. I consider that an impeachable offense. And the members of Congress are going to have to deal with whether they buy his explanation as to why he didn't go to Congress first. But you don't take this country into war without getting the approval of the United States Congress. So I think that the United States Congress are going to have to sort through all of those details. We don't know enough of the details at this point.
Do you think that President Obama has shifted U.S. policy away from our ally Israel toward the Muslim world?
Yes, because he has been noticeably silent with respect to our support of Israel. And I believe that Israel is not only our best and strongest ally in that part of the world, I believe we should make it stronger. I think we should make it stronger. And we should make a real strong statement about how we stand with Israel. If I were president, there would be no uncertainty about what the United States would do if in fact someone attacked Israel and they tried to defend themselves. We would be there. I would make that known right up front. That's a foreign policy that people can understand, that we're going to be there. Not if Israel gets attacked, well, let's think about it. Well, let's ponder it. Let's go to the United Nations and hold a meeting. No, that's not how you support your true friends. And Israel is our best friend in that part of the world. And I think we ought to make the rest of the world know how we feel about backing them up if they were to get attacked.
Let's switch gears real quickly and talk about the price of oil.
Yes.
Gasoline prices are going through the roof. Folks
Yes.
are having to pay more for food. It's becoming unaffordable for many Americans. Yet President Obama has resisted any more oil drilling. Do you think voters are going to make him pay for this next year?
Yes, they are. Voters are not stupid. When you go to Brazil and loan Brazil $2 billion so they can enhance their drilling capabilities, and then tell the Brazilians, we are going to be your best customer. When we've got oil in the outer continental shelf, we've got oil in Alaska, we are the OPEC of coal, we are the OPEC of natural gas. In other words, we have all of the resources necessary to become energy independent, but yet this president puts moratoriums on our ability to drill oil, and he goes and help other countries to drill oil. All that's going to do is drive up the cost of oil because of the speculators figuring we're not going to become energy independent. That's what we need to do. And the thing is, we have the resources to do it. And so the voters understand that. They're getting that message. One of the things that I talk a lot about on my radio show, when I was on my radio show, is that people are not stupid. And this administration is treating the American people like we're stupid, that we can't connect the dots, that we don't know that the stimulus spending did not work. And similarly, when they see the price of gas go up, most Americans have got to take it out of their discretionary spending. They are feeling the pain directly. And they are asking, why do we need to do this when we have all of these natural resources right here at home?
You think you could beat Obama in 2012?
Yes, I do. And here's why. First of all, I'm not a politician. I've never held public office. And one of the questions I often get asked, well, since you never held public office, do you think voters are going to vote for someone who is a businessman problem solver? And my response is, you're right. Most of the people in Washington, D.C. have held public office. How's that working out for you? And then we go on to the next question. Here's why I believe I can beat President Obama. Number one, I'm a problem solver. That's what business people do. Business people and problem solvers make sure that you're working on the right problem. They make sure you set the right priorities. They make sure you surround yourself with the right people. I know how to pick good people. That's what you do to succeed. And then you execute the plans. And then the leader must lead. And that means engaging the American people in what it is that we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and how we are going to do it. Because this is what leadership is all about. And this would also remove this veil of frustration and uncertainty that the American people believe. So I happen to believe that because of my business experience as a problem solver, I believe that a lot of the people, a lot of the voters are going to recognize that.
Now, you recently said that liberals thought you should stay, quote, on the Democratic plantation. Why do you think the left has a problem with Black or African American conservatives?
Because their only tactic to try to keep Black conservatives on the Democrat plantation is to intimidate them, to call them names. But I got a message for the liberals. It won't work with me. They can call me all the names that they want to. And in the vernacular of my grandfather, I does not care what they call me. That's the only tactic that they have. They can't rationally explain the programs of the left. They are in denial that the current programs have failed. The Social Security system needs to be totally restructured. I would use a personal retirement account approach. Medicaid needs to be block granted to the states such that the states can get off of these unfunded mandates. They have no logical or factual defense or offense for somebody like me who happens to be an American Black conservative. I call myself an ABC, Kathleen, just in case people want to label me an ABC. They have no logical or factual way to shut me up. So they try to intimidate me, but that does not work.
You recently said that if elected president, you wouldn't be willing to appoint a Muslim to your cabinet or as a judge because of concerns that you have that American Muslims are attempting to force Sharia law on the rest of us.
Yes.
Subsequently, the Council on American Islamic Relations, also known as CAIR, accused you of bigoted speech. How do you respond to that?
Well, they can accuse me of having bigoted speech all they want to. Like I said, I does not care, to use my grandfather's vernacular, and here's why. I want people committed to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States in my administration. I don't have the time nor the desire to worry about somebody or some faction that wants to impose Sharia law on this nation. I believe American laws in American courts. Here's an example of how they're trying to do that. In Oklahoma, in the 2008 elections, they had a referendum on the ballot. 70% of the people voted no Sharia law in Oklahoma courts. I think that's pretty clear. So the Oklahoma chapter of CAIR filed with the judge to order an injunction not to implement the results of the vote of the people. Now, the judge issued the injunction. I don't know what the status of it is now, but this is what I'm talking about. They have an objective, which is to infuse gradually Sharia law into our courts, and I absolutely will object to that and not allow that in any way that I can. So yes, I said it. They can call it bigoted all they want. Because you see, the First Amendment says everybody can practice whatever religion they choose. They are free to practice their religion in the United States of America, just like all other legitimate religions. But they are not free to infuse their religious beliefs into our laws. We don't do it like that here in the United States of America. And if I'm president, I'm going to work to keep it that way.
Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer lambasted the Tea Party as a hurdle and an obstacle to a bipartisan deal on spending levels for the current fiscal year in Congress. Should congressional Republicans compromise or reject compromise and potentially risk a government shutdown?
They should reject this compromise. You see, the way the liberals want the conservatives in Congress to compromise is do it their way or come closer to their way. There again, Senator Schumer is doing exactly what liberals do. They try to attack and name call to say it might force a government shutdown. All he's doing is trying to position his rhetoric with some of the media, not Newsmax, to blame the conservatives or the Republicans or the Tea Party. Don't you think that's a stretch? The Tea Party people put people in Congress. They've got to do their job. They've got to do their job. And I'm not afraid of the consequences of a government shutdown. And here's what Senator Schumer is not saying. The Republican plan says, here are the things that we will agree to make sure that Social Security checks get written, government assistance checks get written, and the military gets funded. Beyond that, shut it down.
Herman Cain, thanks so much for joining us and for being here today. If folks want to learn more about you, where should they go?
HermanCain.com. That's HermanCain.com for more information. And the way you remember that is Cain, like in the Bible, but I didn't kill anybody.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. We appreciate you stopping by.
My pleasure.